Inserts that they could deliver books to seniors. Seniors could order a book.
It was kind of cool. Pay $3.50 or something.
Call the Mars City Council meeting to order,
I'm going to pass it to her.
June 2nd, 12 p.m. Do we have roll call, Bev?
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Rexico?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Turkey?
Yes.
Would you please join me in standing and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the agenda. I, first of all, would like to welcome anybody in our, or the people in our chamber today, Austin with the Lamar's Daily Sentinel, and particularly you people that are watching over television. Before we get into general discussion today, as you well know, or many of you know, that the city has purchased a brand-new fire truck. And so what we are going to do before we get into open discussion is we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, and Mr. Shipper here has got the fire truck out in the back, and we want to show all of the council members what the upgrades are and things like that. So, and in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going off the air for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we will be back in here.
Motion to approve the truck.
You already did that.
Thanks, Jerry.
Motion to
Any,
pay for it.
Are we back on?
Does anybody have any questions for Chief Shipper?
Well, on behalf of your volunteers and your full-time staff and the citizens, thank you for having the foresight to purchase a vehicle like this. It has served this community, as I said, for 25 years to come. That makes it a little easier when you look at the sticker price on something like this. It isn't something you purchase every day, but we'll definitely use it. We have a lot of fire calls and a lot of structure issues with our community here. So thank you on behalf of the citizens, because I'm a taxpayer too, and thank you on behalf of the firefighters.
And thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. Good job done. Okay, we're going to move on to general discussion. The way we handle general discussion is the fact that anybody got any concerns, complaints, compliments about the city, we ask them to step up to the podium and state their name and address as to where they're from. Also, our council members here are always willing and to listen to the compliments or complaints that you may have, but they cannot act on them today, but they certainly take them into consideration. Is there anybody, does anybody have anything in regard to those? If not, we'll move on. John?
Thumbs up to the people responsible for a highly successful Color Me Sweet 5K run and walk.
Nothing.
Nothing to add to that.
I just want to thank the mayor for being a good sport at that event and getting totally doused with color. Unbeknownst to him, he does his job very admirably with a smile on his face, and that doesn't get said very often.
Thank you, Rex. I might add my water bill went up when I got home. Rex?
Thank you.
I do too want to talk a little bit about this 5K run. It's the first one we've ever experienced here in Lamar's. As you all know, that we strive real hard to build quality of life into our city here. And boy, it was a very, very prime example of it last Saturday when we had, I think there was, somebody said, right at 800 people out there enjoying life. And one thing about quality of life, that particular program was a family affair. And the thing I got most excited about was the kids out there that was out there running and walking and just having a great time. So very successful. I want to thank our volunteers that put that on, and particularly Mary and the people from the YMCA and the chamber. Just done a fantastic job. Everybody had a great time. Okay, today we have consent items. All items listed under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on those items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today, we have 6 of them. Approval of May 19th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Number 2 is a list of the bills for the period ending 5/31/15. Number 3 is the new and renewal of liquor licenses, which involves the Eagles, SNS, and the barbecue. Appointments. 5 is Connections Area Agency on Aging Agreement, and 6 is a contract for the transportation service with CERTS. I just want to say one thing about the appointments. I have personally visited with every one of them, and they have their terms were up, and a couple of them renewed, and one of them was had moved out of town, and we had to fill that one. But I just want you to know that they've all accepted the appointments, and you're well to go. So, any questions on these before we vote?
Sharon, do you want to say anything about certs?
No, I'm here on behalf of CERTS, and we appreciate your continued partnership to provide transportation services for the citizens of Lahanas. We have a good working relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
I had a question for her.
Okay?
Are any of the state agencies working with libraries to provide service to get books to seniors? I know there's enough downtime. I wonder if anybody's ever considered that. We have a very active library. I know some of the housing units, books go out to them, but there are also people that might pay to have a book delivered if those services could be looked into.
I can look into that. I can mention that to our transit director. I don't know, do some places have a mobile library that kind of moves? Maybe that's for the rural areas.
The old school bookmobile,
What?
the bookmobile.
The bookmobile, yeah. But I can certainly check into that.
I'd appreciate if you check to see if something like that could be lined up.
Okay.
Motion to approve consent items 1 through 6.
Is there a second? Motion been made to approve. Motion been made and second to approve items 1 through 6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sharon, I just want to say that it appears our program between the city here and CERTS is working very favorable for both parties, and we want to thank you all you're doing for us. Okay, moving on to action items, and there are none today, and we'll go into discussion. I know there's been an issue in regard to noise. We've been notified, the mayor and council has, in regard to several complaints on noise. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Jason to review and share with everyone our noise ordinance.
I gave you all copies of what our current so-called noise ordinance is. It doesn't place, I haven't done a whole lot of research on what other communities have. I think you all received a letter also, or saw a letter, where somebody asked what the decibel level that is allowable in town. We don't have a decibel level in our ordinance. It's just it's basic. Like I said, I haven't done any research, but what you can read what it is there. Public place, public street, highway, alley, parking lot. If you can hear it within or 100 feet or more from the source, then it violates our code. So
Without a variance.
without a variance, and they can ask for. I can go farther into it. I mean, they can request from the police chief, and Stu can address it if you want, a temporary variance to that limit. And I think we've done it in the past, probably Olson Cultural Events Center, where we've had bands there. Any outdoor event, I guess, but I don't know if this particular instance that happened. I don't know. But that's what it is, 100 feet or more from the source. That's what it currently is.
Stu, would you like to comment?
Well, just a little bit of history on this ordinance. If you read the first half of it, it's very specific about streets, highways, alleys, parking lots, stereos, tape players, CD, radio, other amplification. This ordinance came into existence probably, Jason, I don't know how old this is, but this was meant to deal with the really loud stereo systems in cars. This ordinance was not written so that it deals with a situation like we had this past weekend. So it really didn't, that wasn't why this ordinance was written, okay? We could have tweaked it a little bit. So what I think we should do is probably look at maybe adjusting this ordinance a little bit. I don't know if you want to make it more specific. The question of decibels comes up. You'd have to have some special monitoring equipment to do that. I think this past weekend we had it was kind of the perfect storm. We had the noise and the right weather and the right wind conditions that it carried the noise into a pretty heavily populated area. I guess what our department did is we tried to accommodate both parties, and we asked them to shut it down. We told people they were going to shut it down. They didn't shut it down, so we asked again. And finally, they did. So we don't want to play the heavy on something like that when it's an event where they're doing a fundraiser or something like that. So I don't have a good solution for you as far as this past weekend's issues. But I just give you a little bit of a idea on where this ordinance that we do have, where it started. It started with all the window rattling that you experienced at the stoplights several years ago. We don't have that issue that much anymore. So, and the other thing this ordinance does is it says that the police chief can grant a variance. Well, I have to know about it. It also says a variance if the applicant, well, that means there has to be an application. And there's no piece of this ordinance that says a person needs to apply or tell us anything. So I think we could probably take a look at what some other communities are doing and bring that back to the council. There's got to be a happy medium out there. And sometimes things just slip between the cracks. So,
Stuart, if we were to get more specific on this ordinance, do you have equipment which could monitor decibels?
no.
But didn't Jason just said if you can hear it 100 yards away from the source,
100 feet.
100 feet.
100 feet away from the source? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's pretty inexpensive. You know, you're standing, in that particular case, am I wrong, about a half a block away. If you can hear it, then there's an issue.
That's a car thing.
But, well, not necessarily a car thing. But here's the thing. Do we need to change any ordinance? Can't we just say if you're going to have an outdoor event? You know, we just approved, and I'm totally for it, but we just approved the KCs to move to an outdoor deal in June. Maybe when these are requested, they just kind of say what their intent is, and if they're going to have a band outside, no one wants to be a party pooper, but we could make an exception at that time for that event.
Yeah, I would say that, especially with this instance, I don't know if we want to overreact and overhaul an ordinance. That's for a rare occasion that something like this happens. I just wouldn't overreact, I guess.
Because I know I got a call at about 11 o'clock that night from somebody, and they said, well, we were told the city council approved it, and I quickly went back to my council and I ran off what we approved, which was, we just approved outdoor service area. You know, so I think, like you said, Stu, everything was kind of...
You can't approve something you don't know about.
Right.
So, you know, and I don't know where that person got that information.
I don't
So,
either, but...
You know, there again, how much regulation do you want to impose? Because you've got all kinds of events all year long that are going to create some type of situation where somebody in the community is going to be irritated by
Gonna
it.
get disturbed, right?
And, you know, at what point are you going to be regulating to the degree that, okay, we're not going to allow this, or we're not going to allow that? So that's a tough one to wrestle with.
Yeah, because I can hear mowers and dogs within 100 feet.
Well,
I mean,
if you're irritated by,
Those can be just as irritating as loud music.
or railroad trains,
A
you
lot
know,
more than 100 feet there.
the question is, where does this stop?
Yeah, ball games, fair events.
Loudspeakers, loudspeakers at ball games, you know. And we live in a community where a good portion of our community sleeps during the day. So this isn't just a nighttime thing, because we have a lot of shift workers that work here, and they sleep when the sun's up. So you have to consider those people, you know, also.
The point I want to make, Stu, is the fact that we did not take this lightly. The calls came in, your officers did respond, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely they did. They were there twice.
Yep.
And like I said, we try to accommodate both sides of this
Yeah.
issue. We realize the people are having an event, and it means a lot to the people who attend it and who put it on, but it also means a lot to the people who have their windows open on a nice spring evening, that they'd like to have some fresh air and some peaceful sleep.
Right.
So,
Okay, any other?
If you put more teeth in the ordinance, then you have to figure out what you're gonna enforce. We have a lot of ordinances that we can't enforce. It's just not possible to enforce them, and if it's not enforceable, it's gonna be really difficult to pass that on through this council, I think.
well,
And
and
I don't know how you enforce it.
I don't want to minimize anybody's, you know, complaint. You know, the people that complain, they're legitimately bothered by it, or they wouldn't bother council people and call the comm center and a host of other people. So you've got some legitimate complaints there, but you've also, there's people on the other side of that also. So we have to figure out a way to accommodate everybody and understand that we cannot accommodate everybody. So,
And I think if you had a specific place that was constantly doing it, like Clark said, this is not an everyday thing, then you might have to come back and revisit something like that. It's the same people doing it all the time, but it's so far and few between.
Okay, anything else
Thanks.
on the noise situation? Okay, moving on then to discussion. John?
nothing.
Have anything?
Oh, yeah, you know what, I would like to compliment the people renovating downtown Rex, shut up. No, but they're really keeping it clean, they're doing a nice job, they're staying out of the way, they're, you know, doesn't look like they're disturbing the, you know, area, they're really doing a decent job on that renovation, so I do want to compliment that, I think they're doing a really pretty nice job, so.
I really think, Clark, the contractors that was been hired are doing they're very respectable, and they're working with our downtown people, and I think it's good. Delana?
Nothing.
Rex?
Pass.
I'll pass, thank you.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, that is.
A couple of things. Everybody should know this is spring cleanup week when you can haul to the landfill. It's Monday through Friday. You can haul up to 1,000 pounds for the week at no charge. So I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that. We have the appliance and tire drop-off, which is next week on June 10th. You can get rid of your old appliances and your old tires. Again, you do need to call City Hall for an appointment. And then one other announcement, the fireworks display for July is going to be on July 5th this year, because that's a Sunday, and July 4th falls on the Saturday, so we're going to have the fireworks on the 5th so that more people can attend, because a lot of people go out of town for the 4th. And that'll be at 10 p.m. whenever dark is.
Bill, on the spring cleanup, is that Saturday morning also?
Yes,
So
the
it's not just
landfill
Monday
will be
through
open
Friday, but
Saturday
Saturday
morning.
morning
Yep.
too?
That is correct. That's all I've got.
Anything else, Bill?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, at this time, we're going to be going into a closed session. So I would entertain a motion.